Do you feel like you're actively trying in this marriage?
I had something in my teeth. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Married at First Sight. Our review. I'm Kristen.
I'm Nate.
And
together we're great.
Yeah. So we got this was a crazy episode, you guys. So we got season 18, episode 10, Chicago. I think it was called something like Anniversary Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're just gonna get into it.
Yeah. And here we go. So talking about Carla and Juan first.
Yes.
The biggest takeaway is that they're different. They're entrepreneurs, but with that title for Juan, that means something different for Carla, because Carla is a free spirit, is, in her own words, she cannot be managed.
She can't. And
that spells out doom in my mind of what that means for Juan. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he responds in a positive way in trying to get a sense of her direction by prompting her and things like this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
About her quitting her job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And how that affects her relationship and reveals her differences or similarities.
Yeah, I guess he's always, I feel like he's more I'm on the grind, I have to grind. And then she's more whatever fits me, if the energy's right, it's not really about, making money and things like that. And I guess she tells him that while he shows her the warehouse that he works at. I didn't know he had another business. I thought he was just doing the airport app.
Yeah, so, I thought he was a tech guy, but he really is an entrepreneur. He's three hats. He's some warehouse producer, developer on the side, and then he's a business partner. So he's got more hats than I thought he had. So I feel like he's a little more capable than I think I gave him credit for in the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he's uneasy about her, lack of employment now. I guess she's still going to have clients come to her, but she's not going to be working at the same place.
Yeah.
And then they also have their anniversary dinner that's outside and things like that. And they just talk about, their things. But he also brings up the job again, and he's like, oh, I heard, so you're going to New York, right? And he's like, so when is it? And when are you going? And how much are you making? Did you discuss that? Did you discuss that?
Yeah.
And I don't know what to think of it, because I'm I guess those are good questions. She's like, I don't
She
know.
doesn't, but she didn't know a lot either about what she was doing, what even her pay rate was, or how long she would be there, or how many clients she would have. Yeah. I feel like she knows how to do things, but she doesn't have a business mind for it. Or knows how to run a spreadsheet Juan would.
But things kind of work out for her, so yeah. I mean,
I don't know. It seems like things just work in her favor somehow. Yeah.
Energy's aligned. Things like that.
But she's all smiles through this episode, and I feel like that's, they're still getting along. Yeah. I feel like maybe they're still working on intimacy.
Definitely.
Just where we left off last with them. Yeah. Any other last thoughts before we move on?
No. I mean, we'll I know that they have that big dinner later, but that'll be in context of MM and Ike. So we'll go on to the next couple.
Madison and Alan.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we first see them, or they do a lot of different activities. This time we see them in the cam in the morning.
Yeah.
They end up going to do this tennis thing. She's really toned. You could see that for real.
One of the Serena Williams kind of toned.
She kind of shortchanged him a little bit, because she's like, if I win, I get a kit or.
But that's what he wanted. That's what he bargained for. And she wanted I forget what.
I forgot. But
she wanted to go clubbing by herself.
Yeah, probably. But then,
my space, she said.
But then when he won, she's like, oh, you didn't specify, so I'm just going to give you a kiss on the cheek. And I was like, oh, poor Alan. He's like, I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. I forgot. I'm trying to do it in the Midwestern accent.
I don't know if it's Midwestern. He's definitely got an accent, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are still connecting, at least doing activities and things like this. And so, like you were saying, he was probably shortchanged with what he was asking for.
Yeah.
But like he was trying to do things actively to like I guess show that he can be active and fit her lifestyle. Yeah. Like later they went through this like jungle gym in the forest,
obstacle,
and they ended up talking on they're up in the air, maybe 30 feet, and he brings up like,
he's like talking about how she's a rare gem.
Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks.
She's like, thanks, Alan.
Yeah. The way she says it is like, I hear you.
Yeah.
I can't reciprocate yet.
Yeah.
But thanks, Alan. Yeah. So he's putting himself out there, and he mentions like it's gonna get harder because like
the more
it's not
deeper.
Yeah, the deeper he falls, because he's falling for her still, and she's just like, thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
So that's probably not going to be easy for him if that keeps up, unless they develop a deeper connection.
Yeah.
There was the other point where he talks about, a vision of 30 years from now, our kids going to school, getting jobs. And then she said, her reply was, forever seems like a long time. And then the camera pans out.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where they are.
Yeah. And even in another scene where he's kind of asking, kind of wants to get that clarity a little bit. And she's like, do you really want to talk about this on our 1 month? I just want to like keep it happy. Like, I don't want to make it serious. And like, oh, like
the time to talk about it. Yeah. Save her for 2 months at least.
Well, I don't know. Well, it's an 8-week process. So it's probably a little less than 2 months. Yeah. So, we'll see. I don't really know about them because, Madison's not really in it. She doesn't have to be, but it's just,
There was a bit of connection in earlier episodes where Michelle was running and then at the gym, and then David was running as well, and they were talking.
You mean David and...
Sorry.
David and Madison?
David and Madison. Yeah. Michelle, Madison, same. But Madison and David were running together, and they seemed to have some chemistry. But leaning into David and Michelle, Michelle's still leaving him cold in terms of just not connecting well and projecting her insecurities and this and that. But later they hint at there's a couple that switches, there's a swap of some kind. That's still up in the air.
Yeah.
But Michelle leaves David cold, and she finds things to complain about. Like he tries to do more sushi things and outside of his...
to an actual sushi restaurant 1 month before that. He wouldn't even go to a sushi place.
And he showed up in like a golf shirt, polo or whatever.
I don't know if he should have been sweats. I guess
so
I
he was
didn't
right.
really appreciate.
She was right about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy if that's... I mean, I know that he was running late from his parents' house, but I think he probably should have tried a little bit harder to... That's right. Even if it was
They're not
a
even
bit late.
Yeah, that's right. They're not even in the same apartment anymore.
Are they not?
He said she was coming.
He was coming from his parents' house, but I don't know if he was just there to be just hanging out or.
Well, I mean, also later on we could talk about this more too, but at the dinner where everyone's together, he hugs everybody goodbye, but he doesn't really hug her, or there's no physical connection there.
Yeah. He also shows up in casual at the big anniversary dinner too, but I know he's going on his work shift
to show up.
But where does he work at? I don't know, because
he's got 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to put sushi on the table, I guess. He's trying.
Yeah, I guess. Then they keep talking about going in this cycle, talking about I can't make you happy, and he's like,
what do you like?
What makes you happy? It's like, oh, just being around people I love, my friends, and things like that. Animals.
Doing things I like, yeah.
And she's like,
not you, not being around you.
Right.
She seems to be saying.
I think he asked, she's like, why don't you ask me any questions? And then he's like, well, because you always give me 1-word answers. And so I think that there's so much, as we know, that's like wrong and they're disconnecting and stuff like that. But yeah, even just the fact that they can't really have simple conversations is, yeah. I mean, the nail was already in the coffin, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really know what else to really say about them. They did watch their wedding, and that was a nice cordial moment for them. They watched the wedding together
sitting on the same couch.
Sitting on the same couch, yeah. Not all couples sit on the same couch.
Yeah. Or there's tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that was a nice moment, but I think they're kind of going along for the cameras.
Yep. And the paychecks.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So that was them.
No change there. But our favorite couple,
Camille and
Thomas. So I think it was interesting to see Camille school Thomas in basketball.
Yeah, she's played for 25 years.
Yeah, and she really does school him. He like tears a hammy. She
holding up the wall. Stop tearing of these hammies. It's not making him look attractive. I mean, I know that he's in his 40s, but.
yeah, and like when she can one up him at her game, he hasn't really done that for her like in his world yet. Mm-hmm. As far as we've seen. Mm-hmm. Camille doesn't like that he is late to what she was trying to organize. Yeah. And he says it all makes sense later, but then
we never see what that
maybe later is next episode because we don't see that. He doesn't explain.
She's like, "Do you feel like you have a good excuse?" He's like, "Yes, I think I do." And it's just like, wait, what? I don't know. But they have a nice talk about basketball and how it's something that bonded her with her family and her dad and things like that.
Because he would drive she explained that her dad would drive 6 hours to her games. Yeah. And then, right afterwards go back home.
Yeah.
So that was special for her. It made her pursue basketball even further. Mm-hmm. So that was a big connection for her to her dad.
And I think the next scene the next scene of them together, they go to this tasting, I don't know if it's a
wine or whiskey
tasting thing. They end up, they enjoy it and stuff like that. And then they make their own drinks, which is nice. And he's rocking that earrings. He's rocking those earrings still.
That trip to the jeweler wasn't for nothing.
Yeah. And then they sit down. They have they sit down and have some brunch and they talk. And they have a nice moment. They exchange some gifts.
Yeah. They're thoughtful gifts. Yeah. So you were asking it it's a mold where you kind of hold hands. I forget. Here, let me see your hand. And then they plaster it, and then they fill it with concrete or something, so it makes a permanent statue. Nice. And then she was like, you can even wear the ring on it, and then mold that in. So nice. So she gives that to him, which I think is touching. They're connecting, and they're we could make something permanent about their connection. And he gets her
a necklace,
a necklace, yeah.
And it was it matched with her birthstone or something.
Mm-hmm. So, and he also mentioned it matched she looked good in red on the honeymoon.
Yeah, so I don't know what it was, what her birthday month is, because it was was that Ruby or something?
Yeah, I don't know what month that is. Yeah. So they're still connecting. They're still our favorite couple.
Yeah. I mean, it seems and even in the couple dinner showdown thing, they talked about how they had sex and things like that. So that was an exciting moment, and they both seemed excited about it. So that was good.
At the dinner, everyone seemed surprised that that's possible in a marriage to be connected emotionally and physically and romantically. But they're taking that road.
They did.
Yeah. And the opposite couple, MM and Ikechi, things come to a boiling point and things explode.
They do.
Out of kind of nowhere. We don't really see...
I mean, things were stewing. Things were stewing for a while.
Well, Ike was stewing.
Yeah. But I feel like she kind of was too. But we first see them, I don't know if it's when we first see them, but one of the more memorable moments was when they have their anniversary date outside.
Which she organized.
She always organizes
everything.
Yeah.
All he ever did was show up.
Yeah. So she has charcuterie for them and paint.
Yep. Which is what he was asking for. Peace.
Yeah. chill things. And it's so funny. I thought that he always showed like 10% energy. I didn't know that he could show negative energy. Like, not, I mean, negative, of course, but like negative 100 energy. I mean, that's how I felt. Like, he was kind of like, oh, cool. Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. And she triggers him with a question. Do you remember that question?
Yeah. She's like, do you feel like you're actively trying in this marriage?
I had something in my teeth. Yeah, and it just goes from there. Like I feel like he would react differently if he was not on camera. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't be as passive aggressive or just downright shut down. Yeah.
I just feel like he's like upset that she's not accepting his answers. So he just wants he wants her to just accept his answers, no matter how vague or
they're not answers. They're
and then he gives vague answers and then talks about, oh, I'm not close to you, I don't know you, but you, sir, are intentionally being vague, like, you know, like
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Those tautologies, the it is what it is kind of things.
Yeah.
And what it is broken, and all she's trying to do is understand, connect, and move forward. And he's just stonewalling so hard.
Yeah.
It's aggravating to watch. Yeah. Especially when things kind of boil over later on.
The next scene, we'd go to their apartment and they're looking at their wedding stuff for their 1 month, because everybody
they drop off their 1 month. Yeah, they give a photo album, a couple of other knickknacks from their wedding, so they could talk about things. And there's a note from the experts.
Yeah.
And then the topic of their vows comes up because it's framed, and they talk about it.
And look, just to set the setting, she's sitting on the couch. He's like on a bar
stool. Yeah. So there's a height difference. There's this like power dynamic where she's like, oh, like humble and accepting and just trying to move and connect. And he's like, still has something in his teeth, I guess. And how does it explode?
So they read each other's vows, and she reads hers, and then she gives it to him to read. And then she's like, do you feel like, you know, those vows were, you're holding up to those vows, or you feel like the vows that you meant, or did you mean those vows? He was like, yeah.
When I said them, I meant what I said.
Yeah.
And she's like, about me?
He's like, yeah, and then he goes, and then I don't know, that triggers him again, and then he just completely goes off. He's like, I don't see in these vows that you mentioned that you wouldn't be a beep hole or a butthole.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that's like, so then he goes off and talks about how, like, you know, when I give you an answer, you take it. Like, you're not
expected. And you flip it. Yeah. And then you attack me aggressively with a stick.
Yeah. He's like, you're beating this.
I didn't see. The bear. Yeah. You're going to beat a bear.
But what I meant by take it is like, he's like, you got to take my answers. Like, if I give you an answer, like, accept it, basically.
Oh, I read that differently, because it says you take it, and then there was like ... and then you flip it.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Either way, the delivery was
and
not
then
respectful.
He walks out of the house and he slams it, and
later he reconciles with his shoes. He comes back, takes his shoes, apologizes to them, and then he leaves without saying a word to her.
I guess.
And that was it. That's the only reconciliation.
Yeah. I feel so bad. She goes into the room crying.
Yeah.
Or to the bathroom crying. Yeah. And so now we're going to talk about the anniversary dinner itself.
Where everyone shows up?
Yeah.
The showdown. The alleged showdown. And it lives up to its name.
It does.
This episode's title.
Yeah. So they all get on this party bus, which is fun. Yeah. Everybody's there except for David and Ike,
As expected.
And then talks about how, how they've been doing, and how Ike's been MIA, and how he's called her an a-hole on the anniversary.
And aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy. Like, is he going to show up? She's like, I don't know. So then they get there and they, they talk about like how everybody's been doing, and most people are just meh. That's honestly the summary of how everybody else is doing. Like I feel,
except for Camille and Thomas.
Yeah, except for Camille and Thomas. We talked about how
so far
they talked about how they did the the intimacy. So everybody's kind of living vicariously through them. And then Mr. Ike shows up.
Alan asks, is that an excuse to miss half the dinner?
Yeah.
And he's like,
it is.
Yeah, it
is. And then Camille's like, what's good with you, bro? Like, what's really good? And then he like starts to really.
There's no peace in my house.
Yeah.
You ever been in a place where there's no peace?
Yeah. It's like my wife makes me feel like.
Less than.
Yeah. Like the S word, things like that. And it's just a lot. And then she, she's like basically calling him a clown, just like, things like that. And she has to get up, take a break, go to the restroom. And everybody's talking like,
all the girls rally around her.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I feel like she wasn't necessarily getting the support that she wanted. It seemed like she's like, I've been like everything that people were saying, it was like, but I wanted a marriage, but I wanted this. And I just don't think that like she felt helped at that time because like when Carla and Michelle,
it's like these things happen.
Yeah.
If you're not trying, you're pointing fingers, and then
well, that's what Juan said. Yeah, or he was like,
Juan was kind of annoying at this part.
He was very annoying.
He's trying to back up and give perspective of Ike, but he didn't have the whole picture.
No.
He didn't have a foot to stand on.
Yeah,
talking about their relationship.
Yeah,
so he's probably a conflict resolution oriented person, so that's probably his angle. But
it wasn't helpful at the time, and it also felt like it was like not triggered him, but she's just like, no, listen.
Yeah.
And then Ike gets up and he's like, I didn't ask for this. I was like, I don't play with kids. It's like, this is immature. And
can deal with his immaturity, but like at the same time, he showed up halfway through dinner with a bomb strapped to his chest.
Seriously.
And had nothing to add.
Like Michelle did say, like he had a chip on his shoulder, like nothing would have.
Yeah.
Like
he started.
Nothing they would have said would have helped.
Yeah, he started that way.
And not to go down the way it did. And then Eminem has to go to the restroom again, and then only Camille comes with her, which I'm glad. I think she probably only wanted like just one person, because I feel like Camille kind of
a good listener.
Yeah, she kind of takes the approach of like, like just kind of more like agreeing versus like, think about this, think about that. It's like, no, just being with her in that moment, and I think that's what she needed.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Camille was able to do that and be that for her at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But Ike walks out. He talks about the fact that he feels belittled and insulted, and he didn't be in a marriage to be like that. And I was like, when did she belittle you?
Maybe the other season when he applied, that's what he wanted. But this season, I guess he didn't get that either.
I just don't understand. I think he feels insecure himself because, like, remember he was talking about when they were doing the apartment, when they were comparing each other's apartments, going into each other's apartments, they were talking about, he was like, oh, like I'm a poor man, like, I don't have, I'm not bougie, I'm basic, things like that, like, and he always like made it a point to talk about like how he's like not, I don't want to say not worthy, but his stuff, he made it a point to say that he was less than. She never thought of it like that way, like at all. He
definitely came in with a complex, an inferiority complex. Yeah. I'd like to add to that. I feel like I have a theory that he's just intimidated by her.
Yeah.
And I know that's a thing, and in some cases where if the woman makes more money or is more successful, somehow the husband feels threatened or this or that. I that's not really a situation I could speak on other than that it exists out there and that he might be experiencing that.
Yeah. it's a shame just to see how it all went down. I mean, and we see for the previews for next episode, we don't know who's doing what. Like, you know, it almost feels like, I don't know if it's David that's doing the cheating, if it's Alan, if it's Juan, like.
Because they hint at, there's some infidelity, whether it's sexting or actual, intimate with
or
somebody else.
Madison, or, so, I don't know. We don't know. Like, it's crazy. And is it within the cast or is it outside the cast? I don't know. We don't know.
Or is it a swap between casts?
Yeah, that's what we're that's what we're being told. Yeah. So,
my bet is David and Madison, but this one hinted at Juan as a possibility where they didn't before.
Yeah, where their appeal was like, hey, like you're being like, you know, untruthful about, you know, like
let's be honest. Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah, well,
that's what we have.
Yeah,
that's what we have to deal with
for next week, or maybe not next. I don't know if they're all going to show that all next week, but
next episode we'll find season. Out. Yeah,
or for the rest of the season, those are things too. I don't want to say look forward to, but those are things that are in store. So
I'm here for some of the drama, but I'm like I do want peace, but not the peace he was looking for, which is unrealistic.
Yeah,
but it'd be crazy to see a good season pan out, because this could just all be editing to make us think this or feel this, but who knows what's possible at this point. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe
if you
want to see more. But we'll continue anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode.